The fire crackled softly as children gathered beneath the ancient baobab tree. The moon hung high above the village, and the elders sat in a circle, their faces glowing in the firelight. The oldest among them, Baba Kofi, leaned on his carved walking stick and smiled. My grandchildren, he began, tonight I will tell you the story of a man everyone thought was a fool until the day he died. The children leaned closer. Listen carefully, he said, for this story is not about trees. It is about the kind of life that leaves shade behind. Many generations ago, in a village nestled between green hills and a winding river, lived an old farmer named Kojo. He was not the strongest man. He was not the richest. He did not own the largest farm or the finest cattle. Yet every sunrise before the birds finished their first songs, Kojo walked to the edge of the village carrying a hoe, a calabash of water, and a small basket of seeds. He planted trees, not one, not two, every single day, mango trees, orange trees, baobabs, shade trees, palm trees. The children often laughed as they followed him. Grandfather Kojo, they called, why do you keep planting trees? You'll be too old to eat their fruit. Kojo would smile without stopping his work. Perhaps, he replied, but someone will. The children giggled and ran away. Years passed. The trees grew taller. Their roots reached deeper into the earth. Still, Kojo planted more. The young men mocked him openly. If you spent half this time growing crops, you'd be wealthy. The traders laughed. If you planted cocoa instead of shade, you'd have gold. Even some elders shook their heads. Old age has made him dream too much. Kojo never argued. He simply planted another tree. One year, disaster struck. The rains failed. The river shrank until children could walk across it. The fields cracked beneath the scorching sun. Crops withered. Cattle collapsed from thirst. Families began to leave the village in search of food. The once green land turned brown. Fear settled over every home. Then something remarkable happened. The land around Kojo's trees remained alive. The deep roots held water beneath the soil. Birds nested in the branches. Fruit ripened when every other field had failed. The trees cast wide circles of cool shade where children and elders could rest. Travelers stopped beneath them to escape the relentless heat. Soon, every family gathered beneath the growing forest Kojo had planted over the years. The fruit fed the hungry. The leaves fed the goats. The shade saved the weak from the burning sun. For the first time, the villagers understood what Kojo had been building. He had never been planting for himself. He had been planting for people he might never meet. One evening, the village chief invited everyone to the great meeting beneath the oldest baobab. The chief stood before the people and said, "When Kojo planted these trees, we laughed at him. When he carried water for young seedlings, we called him foolish. When he worked alone beneath the hot sun, we pitied him. But today," the chief looked toward the forest, "today those trees have become our market, our shelter, our food, our hope." The people lowered their heads in shame. Kojo simply smiled. "There is no shame in learning," he said. "The only shame is refusing to learn." As the years passed, the village prospered once more. Children climbed the mango trees. Women gathered shea nuts. Hunters rested beneath the baobabs before long journeys. Merchants stopped to trade because the village had become known as the place of cool shade and generous people. Visitors asked, "Who planted this beautiful forest?" The villagers answered proudly, "One old man who never expected a reward." When Kojo grew too weak to walk, the children visited him every evening. One little girl asked, "Grandfather, why didn't you stop when everyone laughed at you?" Kojo looked through the window toward the trees swaying gently in the wind. "My child," he said softly, "people laughed because they could only see today. I kept planting because I could already see tomorrow." He took the girl's small hand. Never measure your life only by what you can enjoy. Measure it by what others will enjoy because you lived. Those became his final words. That night, Kojo quietly joined his ancestors. The next morning, the entire village gathered beneath the largest tree he had planted. There were no riches to divide, no palace to inherit, only a forest that fed generations, a forest that protected the land from drought, a forest where children would play long after everyone who knew Kojo was gone. The chief declared, "From this day forward, every child born in this village shall plant one tree, and every tree shall remind us that the greatest people are those who build a future they may never see." The tradition continued for generations. The village became famous across the land, not because it had the tallest buildings, not because it had the richest king, but because every tree told the story of one man who believed that true wealth was measured by what you leave behind. Baba Kofi paused. The fire crackled. The children sat in silence. Finally, one boy looked toward the great baobab above them and whispered, "Grandfather, did Kojo ever sit beneath all the trees he planted?" The old elder smiled. "No. He planted many whose shade he never lived to enjoy. But look around you." The children lifted their eyes. They were already sitting beneath one. Baba Kofi placed another log on the fire. The flames danced into the night. "My grandchildren," he said, "remember this whenever life asks you to choose between comfort and legacy. A person who lives only for today leaves footprints, but a person who lives for tomorrow leaves a path." And the children carried that lesson in their hearts, passing it to their own children, just as the elders had done before them. Morale: the greatest legacy is not what we keep for ourselves, but what we leave for those who come after us. Like a tree, a life rooted in generosity continues to bear fruit long after its planter is gone.